Welcome, Grant Pierce from Live Tap List to Behind the Tab.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Patricia. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to get a chance to talk to you and uh, talk about Live Tap List and GoTab and some things that we've been working on. So appreciate the time.
Absolutely. So I always like to start with your origin story. Like, how did your business get started? So I'm sure it's a
Yeah.
long story, but I'm here for it.
Yeah, it's a good one. So Live Tap List started actually with my brother. He started a brewery in 2021, so a few years ago now. Started a brewery called Mud Run Beer Co. in Stockton, Illinois, really small town. And what he kind of realized after being in business for a few months was uh, menus were a problem for him. Menus take many different forms. For him, in that scenario, um, he had printed menus that he was just using like a Word document for. He had TV menus that he was using like Google Slides, editing that and putting it up on his TV. And he had his website that showed what was on tap as well. And that was a Squarespace website that he was updating manually. Um, as business went on, you quickly realize that you just don't have time to update all those places. Anytime you're trying to change something, you got three different places to update it, and it's just not tenable at all. So that was like the first challenge was how can we optimize his operations? I'm a software developer by trade and have done some freelance work and worked for global organizations trying to figure out how we can make things more efficient and better. So obviously he reached out to me and we tried to figure out a way to make it better for him. So that was the first iteration of Live Tapless was just for him. How can he update things in one place and populate it out to his website, to his TV, get things to update automatically. So we solved that problem for him first, and then realized I think we might be onto something, and other people might need this.
It's interesting that he started after the pandemic because most of the people that I've been talking to, they kind of had a pandemic story. So for him starting after the pandemic, I guess the question is, related to your product, why did you decide it was going to be a business and not just a solution just for him?
Yeah, I think he saw, he's got a business mind and he kind of helped me see that how much it was saving him, how valuable it was to him. He started all sorts of businesses over the course of his career, and he said, this isn't just this isn't just a solution for me. This isn't a unique problem. This is something across every restaurant, bar, brewery. This is a problem people need solved, and there are gaps in the tools that were available at the time to solve that. And yeah, so we just wanted to attack it at a different angle.
All right, so then today with, there are other, just like GoTab, there are a lot of POSs, so we always have to focus on like why us? Like, so
Mhm.
the question for you is there are a lot of tap list digital boards, why live tap lists?
Yeah, that's a great question that I hopefully am well prepared to answer. Yeah, I think the first thing that we want to look at is in a any platform for your business is what is their goal? What is that platform's what is it built for? So there are alternatives out there right now that are built, to help the end customer, maybe find their favorite beer at any establishment. So, that's certainly helpful to be kind of listed in that marketplace. And that's great. But we wanted to attack it as like uh, our goal is to help the business owner. So I'm not trying to help any individual customer find a beer or find a menu item at a different location. I want to help your location, and I want to help you communicate and engage your customers the best way possible. So we help by putting your menu on your website. We're helping people stay up to date, make sure that this is the most accurate tap list. That's certainly a requirement. But then also once they're in your establishment, they're seeing a fully customized menu, whether that be the print menu or the digital menu, fully customized to your brand. There's no limitations on how you can customize it. You don't need to put live tap lists on it or anything. They're not seeing other brands. It's your menu, and then using those digital screens as real estate for advertising specials, get people to buy more while they're sitting there, and to get people to come back. Maybe you're having an event, or with breweries, things like trivia, live music, get people to come back. This is your target market already there. So let's get them to come back. So my goal is to help the business owner is the long way of saying it.
Very nice. And so I can imagine that having your brother as your first customer was probably an interesting experience.
Sure. Yeah. He it's honest feedback and it's direct feedback, and that's what's great. There's no tension. We're still gonna see each other at holidays, and that part's never gonna change. So it's a great way to get honest feedback
It's
for
kind of
sure.
funny. It's kind of a similar GoTab story. GoTab was started in a brewery that was started, the brewery was started by our CEO. His wife runs it now.
Hmm.
So his wife is our first customer.
There you go.
They're still
Yep.
happily married. So
Yep, that's great. You're gonna get those conversations, and there's no sugarcoating any of it,
yeah,
directly to the point.
absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's probably the best way to start a business. I hadn't really thought about that, but it probably is one of the best ways.
It's been helpful.
All right. So lots happening in hospitality tech. You're a tech guy, so I'm sure you have
Hmm.
opinions. I actually, when we started this podcast, I wanted to spend a lot of time helping people understand like what the hell is going on. Like there's so many
Hmm.
different tools, there's so many different announcements. So this is the first time I'm using this question, but I'm going to start asking it of everyone. So in the last
Sure.
6 months, a lot's been happening. What are you seeing as the biggest shifts in hospitality tech?
Yeah, yeah. So two things come to my mind right away when I hear that. The first thing that comes to mind is automation. And then the second thing is artificial intelligence. So I um I think with artificial intelligence, people have become more aware that their life can get easier. So they know there are solutions to their problems because AI has made things easier. I do use some tools and have incorporated some tools into Live Tapless for AI, and that's really just to automate and make more efficient any of my existing processes. So some examples I should talk about are. We just want things to be more integrated, be more automatic. Things like how do I get my menu items into my system faster? I don't want to type them out again. I don't want to, I want to get them in faster. So we have a tool where you can essentially copy and paste your existing menu data, use artificial intelligence to kind of parse through that and import it into my system perfectly. We have not using artificial intelligence. We have an integration built, of course, with GoTab so that you can sign in, connect the two accounts, your GoTab account and your Live Tapless account, and that is obviously something I want to talk about today, but it's a direct connection where when you add a new product in GoTab, it'll automatically show on your menu. When you say it's no longer available, it'll automatically fall off. If you update a price, it'll automatically update. So anywhere that we can get these new efficiencies to make things automatic where I don't have to touch multiple systems, we're doing that every step we can. So automation is the biggest thing, and then wherever AI can help us do those automations is what we're looking at.
All right, so I'm going to ask you a question that I guess as a marketing person, been in marketing a long time, dealt with a lot of tools. I think we are kind of the guinea pigs for a lot of things, like
Hmm.
literally anything, any problem marketing has, somebody has a tool for it, right?
Right.
So, but one of the things that I've learned, and this is my belief, and you can disagree with me, is that you can't really automate a process that you haven't already mapped.
Sure.
And I think that's one of the biggest weaknesses with a lot of tools is they give you all these different bells and whistles,
Hmm.
but if the thinking isn't there, it,
Yeah.
it's not going to work.
I think you're right. I think that's the hard part with automation is you first have to have a repeatable pattern so that you can automate it. So if you have a process that you follow and it's repeatable and you're at the point where now it's the bottleneck is just a individual's time, then obviously that's ripe for automation. But that first step you need to ask yourself is how can I get my processes to this repeatable point? Once you get there, then any automation that you have is going to be great. I have another example of like a repeatable thing that people have been doing with live tap lists that we've now automated. And I think, this applies to a lot of GoTab customers already is uh, specifically, not necessarily specifically in the like tapless brewery space, but any restaurant. We've seen a lot of processes where people will display a certain menu maybe for breakfast, and then at a certain point in the day, they're switching that over to different categories for their lunch, and then maybe a happy hour type menu in the evening. Basically, through different parts of the day, they have a very established, repeatable pattern of I want to show these items, and then at 11 o'clock, I'm showing these items. 11. So we've automated that in Live Tap List where you can set up day part menus. So different parts of the day can show different things. And whether that's menu items or promotional content like videos and promo images, you can schedule these and get them set up onto this repeatable pattern. And I think that's just another way people are going to be able to take advantage of these things they're already doing repeatedly, but make it automated for them.
That's awesome. And then, if we think about the day in the life of a typical live tap list user, maybe you can give us just a quick and dirty. What is it like?
Yeah, so once they're set up, a lot of times things can just be set it and forget it. Some things that they will do if they're integrated into GoTab or any other POS system, all of their changes can be done. A lot of their changes can be done in that source of truth. So GoTab's the source of truth. That's how I menu my menu items. The design, the first kind of things they have to do to set up is design their menus. How do I want them to look? This is marketing, this is branding. Get those set up to fit into your taproom space, match your fonts, colors, background images. Uploading promos, so that's something that we need to kind of stay on top of is current and upcoming events. Get those in there, make sure that we're advertising to these customers, and keep them current and coming back. Once we get that kind of set up, and you can schedule those promos kind of out into the future a little bit, so you can kind of come in maybe once a week or once a month and set things up and then let it run. So there we can be high touch where you come in and you're uh, checking boxes and saying this is active, this is not active. But if we're connected, if we're integrated, we want you touching this software as little as possible. We want you out there serving your customers.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Very cool. I'm sure people appreciate that.
yeah.
So, moving into what, you work with a lot of, do you only work with breweries and tap rooms, or are you working with other types of businesses?
Yeah, we work with other types of businesses. We certainly started with breweries. What what we match breweries on really well is they're changing constantly. New beers are coming on, new beers are falling off. They're having events. There's a lot of changes that are happening. So we try to match those needs with our software. And then there's other businesses that once you solve that changing rapidly problem, then a lot of the other businesses becomes a little easier. Things that more static menus, those are also served. So we do different business types. I, I joked when I first named the company that you give me two things and I can make you a list. So whether it's a tap list or a list of events or a list of shirts you're selling, give me two things, we'll make a list. And
Very smart, very smart. And
yeah.
it's interesting that you bring up the fact that, the at the highest level of complexity was the brewery and everything else kind of gets easier. That's
Mhm.
actually very similar to our business. The other question I have for you is what do you love about working with breweries and tap rooms? I
Mhm.
suspect that might be it, but tell me, what do you love about working with them?
Yeah, it's the constant changing, it's the chaos and just like the creativity. These are, what I found that people, craft brewers are people who are passionate about their product. A lot of them have come from other industries where they've been successful, and this is maybe a second business for them. And so just all sorts of different people with different perspectives and ideas, and a lot of just really, really smart folks that come to me with ideas and help me improve the product. I never thought of that. You're right. That is going to make this better. So I have those conversations daily.
That's nice. And so is you talk to more prospects, people who maybe don't know about live tap lists or who you haven't engaged with. What do you wish they knew about the tools that they're using today and to run their business?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I hope that people understand is that your menu is your one of your number one sales tools. This is a point that can either give people confidence when they're in your establishment, when they're ordering, give people confidence to order quickly, or it can be a point of friction. So if your menu is itemized to be read easily, organized so that people can find what they're looking for, find what they might like. This is going to give people kind of a sense of delight. Like if I walk into a place and I know I want something, crisp or fruity or whatever it is, then I can scan your menu and find it. And that just makes that experience better. Um, so every menu is that way. So your print menu, your website menu, and your TV menus are all that way, where organization is going to help be a sales tool. And then specifically on the TV side is we love to promote specials, promote food, promote events, because the number one, we're really angling more towards these menus being a driver of revenue. So not only I'm already here, I'm going to order. If I keep looking at that picture of a pretzel, I'm going to want to order that pretzel. If I keep looking at how much fun like the live music event next week is going to be, I'm going to want to come back. So use these opportunities and use these as a driver of revenue.
Very cool. And can you give us any examples of maybe a customer that you've worked with that have been able to accomplish that?
Yeah, so I've got several customers who are using what they do. So I'll highlight Raised Grain Brewing in Waukesha, Wisconsin. They have probably 10 different TVs throughout their establishment. They have a ton of things on tap, a ton of things to go, but they use the space, the real estate on those screens to give the people what they need in that area of the venue. So behind the bar, they've got two TVs that are in vertical orientation with their tap list. So these are things that you're at the bar, you're going to order at the tap list. Um, they have a horizontal TV next to that that has advertisements of maybe new beer releases and events coming up, just things kind of cycling through in the background while you're sitting there having a conversation and you kind of see and piques your interest a little bit. In a different area, they have a to-go cooler with 4 packs and 6 packs, and they have another smaller TV there that says, "Here's what's in this cooler, and here's how much it costs. This is the information you need here." And then in the dining area, they have TVs that show promos of their desserts. So if you've already ordered your food and you're over in the dining area, what do I need to order next? That dessert. So using the space and that real estate to give the customer what they need next. So an all-encompassing strategy using this platform can really drive sales, drive revenue, and give the customer what they need.
That's really cool. And just for someone who, because I'm familiar with Raised Grain, because I think they host the Wisconsin Brewers Guild party.
Yes, they
Then
do.
that's yeah, yeah. So for somebody who's maybe they run a tap room, they own, a tap room or brewery, talk about like how would they get started with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So Uh, get started livetaplist.com. You go there, obviously you'll see a bunch of information about everything we talked about today. You'll see that we integrate with GoTab. If you click on free trial at the top, you get 14 days for free just to try it out. Okay. So you'll get to actually get access to the full feature set of the platform right away for free. We want you to understand that you can connect this into your process and it's easy. Use the tools to import either from GoTab or from any of your existing menus and get your menus starting to show within a half an hour or less. It's really easy to get started. Listeners of this podcast and users of GoTab can use the promo code GOTAB, GOTAB, and get 30% off for their first year. So after that, 2 weeks is free. The rest of the year, you'll get 30% off. So take advantage of that. Take advantage of the free trial. reach out to me with any questions, feedback. If something doesn't work how you expected, let's talk about it. Grant at livetapless.com is my email. And the way this product gets better and has gotten better over the years is by people trying it and telling me what they want to see in it. So I've been very grateful for the feedback I've gotten to this point, and we've got a solid product, and it's only getting better.
Very cool. All right. So then I always like to leave people with a 30-day challenge. So imagine I'm an operator. I don't use Live Tapless. I'm
Mhm.
actually even not even as familiar as I need to be with digital menu boards and how they're supposed to work. And I can only imagine raised grain, it would be like my Nirvana. Like it sounds like Nirvana.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is.
So tell me what I can do over the next 30 days to improve in this part of my business.
Yeah, so great use of your 30 days is to use that trial that I just talked about. So let's get signed up. If you're a GoTab user, this is super easy because you just connect the accounts and you can get started designing your menus right away. Within that trial, I would say do the one thing that I would highly recommend you do is take advantage of a promo for a high margin item, something you want to sell more of. So, maybe it's a food item, a snack item, or anything else, something that you want to, you're really going to see benefit from, and literally watch the more you put it on the TV and correlate it to the more of those you're going to sell. You'll be able to, if you could track that, you are absolutely going to see the more people look at that picture of a pretzel, the more pretzels you're going to sell. So put that to the test. Try it within that 14 days, try it for 30 days, try it with different items, see what works. But that's a great test you can use and see direct change in your business because of it.
That's awesome. All right. So in summary, we have a GoTab offer, 30% off for a
Mhm.
year. They get the free trial, like everyone who goes to your website. But in addition to that, they get the 30% off.
That's right.
And they get to work with you in helping kind of grow their business and getting feedback and improving the product. And it's like a
Absolutely.
virtuous cycle.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's great.
Awesome. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for spending your afternoon with us.
Absolutely. I appreciate the opportunity to kind of spread the word. And yeah, looking forward to helping a lot of GoTab customers with this. I think it's going to be an easy transition for people to get started.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a great afternoon.
Yeah. Thanks, Patricia. Bye bye.
All right. Bye-bye.